Okay, so here we are back on the PTS server, and I'm going to try to outline another build using 4-piece Firecrest. This is one that's been requested a lot. I did an initial review of the Firecrest set 4-piece earlier in the PTS back in week 1. However, now that things have changed a little bit, I'm going to do another one with a different build utilizing some kind of fringe mechanics that I'm really excited about. I still can't do everything that I want to do. It's a little bit tedious acquiring gear, but I'm going to talk about the 4-piece bonus I have, why I'm using these two high ends, why I have the gun that I have, and then how everything's modded with my skills and my talents, and then I'll demonstrate it while I get my personal supply drop in the persistent world outside of the Dark Zone. So the first thing that you want to know is this is a positional build, all right? You're going to be using positional mechanics to take your enemies down using crowd control and then burst DPS. You have competitive damage. You're kind of hybrid across the board. You do have one electronics piece over here with the backpack, as well as a talent on there that increases skill power, as well as a talent on the gun. But to start off, we're going to talk about, the gear set pieces. That's 4-piece Firecrest and what it does to help flame turret and overall, playing like a cleaner and utilizing fire. So the first thing is 3 incendiary grenade capacity plus 3 incendiary grenade capacity. I'm not going to be using these all that often, but incendiary grenades do help. They give you, they proc the 4-piece bonus, which I'll talk about in a second. The 3-piece bonus, I mean, that's pretty much useless. The 2-piece bonus is not like super helpful. It's kind of the same way it was before with 3 incendiary bullet capacity, and nobody really used the set for that. The 3-piece bonus is 50% flame turret range, which is a pretty big buff. Not to mention that the flame turret already got an initial base range and damage buff in the PTS intrinsically, so now with the 3-piece bonus on top of that, it's extremely competitive. And 30% flame turret damage, so that's a really good one as well. Not only will it shoot from really far away, CC them, and then damage them, it will do it a lot more, powerfully, and it's a really solid 3-piece bonus. And then the 4-piece bonus, which helps you once the target's lit on fire, your damage is increased by 15% against burning targets. Now, the burning duration is not that long, so you really need to take advantage of, when they get lit on fire with your timing. As soon as they get lit, you need to start landing your headshots. And as soon as you start doing that, you'll drop things extremely quickly. Essentially, a 15% bonus is the equivalent to what Sentry can do now when you triple stack a target. So all you have to do is CC them. I mean, they can't fire back. They can't use skills. If it's a player and if it's an NPC, that they're going to be static in one place, patting themselves down. You can land those headshots, get a high amount of damage off. Now, that's the 4-piece bonus, and that's what I'm going to be using, so I'll talk about the actual gear pieces now. Important to roll armor. I've said it in every build video. You need to roll armor on 4 pieces now. You need to roll armor on your chest piece, on your backpack, on your holster, and on your pads. That's kind of a given. That's the only way you can even get close to the armor cap, and once you've gotten close to the armor cap, and even then, you can't actually get close to the new armor cap of 70%. You can get close to the old armor cap of 60%, but now you need to utilize mechanics like the Banshee 4-piece or Robust, or the holster that allows you to get more armor for being 4 seconds in the same cover. I don't actually have it on me. But yeah, you need to roll armor and get armor on as many gear mods and as many gear pieces as possible to be meta competitive in PvP, because mitigation is extremely important. And then the secondary attribute on your chest piece, protection from elites, I just have that on there because I can't re-roll both. However, you are going to want to go for something like health on kill, maybe some EDR, maybe flat health if you want to be more tanky. It's really up in the air. The secondary major attribute is kind of user's preference. Moving on to my gloves, I have critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and damage to elites. Now, the reason I've opted to not go for something like assault rifle damage, main stat weapon damage of my preferred gun type, is because this is versatile now. These gloves aren't really going to be built towards any one, gear set. I can pick up any gun with my Firecrest set, and it will work the same as any other gun, and the only thing that's going to determine how effective it is the actual talents on the gun itself. Instead of having, to switch out my gloves and say, oh, well, I have shotgun damage on these gloves, and now I need to have SMG damage for this, I went with damage to elites because it's a hybrid environment in the DZ. You're going to get utility out of that no matter what you're doing, especially if you're farming a little bit, and the critical hit chance and critical hit damage work well with any gun as well, especially in PvP. So these are a good set of firearms gloves with what I consider to be a very versatile set of major attributes, and that's something I would personally look for on almost all my gloves now. I roll armor on the holster. You want as high main stats as possible. I'm saying up around 1,000 is probably ideal for all 3. If you can get 994 or higher or something like that, 1,000 plus on all 3, that's a god roll with some armor. But 950 works. Over 900 is okay. Anything in the 800s you're not really going to want because you're going to be missing out on about 100 main stat in that case. And then 994 is nice. Moving on to my pads, you got to roll armor on these pads. Your chest piece and your pads are extremely important for that now. Those 2 items give you the most armor of any of the things that you wear. I have stamina on these pads, and then I have some firearms mods in there, or have a firearms mod in there. Now, for minor attributes, you want enemy armor damage. You're going to want that on your mask as well. I don't actually have that, unfortunately. I'll go over that in a second. But for minor attributes, enemy armor damage is extremely helpful. It's not implemented in PvP, so before anyone asks the question, does enemy armor damage work on players now? No, currently it does not. I know that they've slated plans for that in the future at some point, but I don't think that that's coming anytime real soon. And it doesn't work on players. However, since the Dark Zone, again, is a hybrid environment, enemy armor damage is actually pretty much a net percentage bonus damage against pretty much any NPC that you fight, because purple and yellow alike have an armor bar, and the armor bar accounts for more than their actual base health pool. So enemy armor damage is great. Having the right resistances, disrupt is good, disorient's not. You're going to want something like shock or burn resistance if you're going to be in the Dark Zone, and then maybe something like blind resistance, or if you're in PvE. I'm just off the top of my head, those could be good, but disorient's not really the most useful one. Moving on to my mask, I could have a much better mask here. I have Enduring as a talent. While in the last health segment, health continuously regenerates to fill up the segment. I like that a little bit. It's not bad. You're going to get some use out of it, but I would prefer Tenacious for sure. Using a med kit gives you 10% bonus increased damage. I don't have a Tenacious mask right now. It's probably going to take me a while to get it because it's tedious to acquire certain pieces of gear now. Once you've finally gotten, a bulk of your gear in this PTS, through crafting new characters, it's difficult to get the specific piece that you want. So I will be looking out for something like Tenacious or maybe even Rejuvenated. Those two masks would be quite good. But right now I'll make do with Enduring. And then for the backpack, this is actually a really cool one. Specialized is really good now, and it is an electronics backpack. If I was going for more just straight firearms DPS, I could re-roll that to firearms. And if I was really going for a tank build, I could re-roll it to stamina. I have not re-rolled the major attribute to armor. Unfortunately, I probably should do that. However, the 10,000 skill power is still good as a major attribute on backpacks, though it's not the automatic best in slot now, and I prefer armor in any sort of PvP scenario. It is quite good for boosting skill power. So as you can see, I'm up at 117,000. Now, this is right around where the previous diminishing returns would kick in for skill power, and I don't know the new scaling, and I have to do a lot of research to figure out the new scaling. However, over 100,000 is quite good. It means your heal is going to be really beefy. It's going to mean that your skills cool down fairly quickly. Electronics is very potent now. It scales about 3 times as effective as it used to. So one piece of electronics or one stat point in electronics is going to scale for 30 skill power as opposed to 10, which is what it was previously in 1.3. And I really like Specialized. So 4,500 plus 4,000 comes out to about 8,500. So well over 16. So about 17,000 skill power I'm getting just from the Specialized talent itself. Now, in tandem with that is the talent that I have on my LVOAC. On the LVOAC is Talented. Now, this got a rework. Now, killing a target with this weapon increases skill power by 15% for 20 seconds. Now, the reason that the percentage bonus on Talented is now good, first of all, 20 seconds is a long time. And second of all, because 15% of a really high number is a really high number. If it was 15% of something low, let's say you used to have like 30,000 skill power, 15% of 30,000 skill power is not much. It's actually about 4,500, right? But 15% of skill power that's 117,000, let's call it 100, that's already 15,000 skill power. In fact, it's more in reality because it's 117k. Putting that on top for 20 seconds every time I kill an enemy means that I'm going to be well up around 130 or higher skill power, 1,000, and that's going to mean that my heal is going to be really beefy. It's going to cool down really fast. It's going to cool down my turret really fast if I have to reallocate it and put it in a different position, etc. So it's a really good talent to run. Also, the fact that I have an assault rifle with built-in 20% enemy armor damage and destructive, so another 15 there, means that I have really good PvE potential no matter where I am. And despite the fact that it doesn't actually function in PvP, I have Brutal on the gun as well, which means that while a target is CC'd and I get the bonus 15% damage to them, I can then hit headshots for the 12% from Brutal, and overall it just stacks up to be a really, really effective build. I like it quite a lot. So talking about my skills, I'm going to be using Booster Shot. I do not have the Vigorous Chest Piece, which means I can't get an overheal from this. However, I think it's still better to run in a PvE situation and probably a PvP situation as well than Overdose, because Overdose will only heal my teammates for 59,000 because of my skill power, and once I've proc Talented from getting a kill on an NPC, it'll actually be much more than that. But the self-heal is much higher, and then Booster Shot has 71,000 for both me and my teammates. So in a solo play standpoint, it gives me the bonus mitigation, the bonus damage, which is good. And it gives me a good chunk of healing, most of my base health pool. And then it actually takes precedent over Overdose because you get the mitigation, the damage, and plenty of heal. And then in a team play, perspective, when you have 4 teammates, you're on a squad with 3 other people, you're going to heal them for 71,000 instead of 59,000, which is a decent chunk of healing. And then if you really wanted to be unselfish, you could switch over to Defibrillator and heal your teammates for 118 and then yourself for only 59. but that's beside the point. That's really up to users' preference what they're going to do. Now, of course, you're going to be running the flame turret with this build with 4-piece Firecrest. Of course, that's absolutely essential. However, there is a secondary. You could opt to not even run a heal and go for Seeker Mine with Airburst. And that's just another method to light things on fire. And the Seeker Mines actually received a buff, so they do a lot more damage now. The Airburst Mine actually does 31,000 damage, explosion damage. And then Cluster actually does 39,000. I believe that's per ball. So there's a lot of different reasons why the Seeker Mine is quite good now. That's a viable choice as well. In a solo play standpoint, you're going to run for Signature Recovery Link because it auto-procs when you would have gone down. It's kind of like a second life in reality. It functions similar to Nomad. But when you're in a team, you're going to be able to pick back and forth between what your team needs for Survivor Link and Tactical Link. All three of these signature skills have merit now. So I'm picturing a diverse mechanic where squads are running all three at once and maybe two of a single one. Also, you cannot, proc these multiple times in a row. You get a debuff after popping one of these, like Survivor Link, which for a certain period of time, you cannot pop another Survivor Link. And if your team does pop another one, you can't actually share in the bonus effects. So it's important to note that you can't just chain signatures together anymore like you used to. The way I'm going to demonstrate this after I show you my talents is to clear my personal supply drop in the persistent world. But really quickly, I have on the move 30%, with the reduced time to kill, this is really good. I have tech support to increase the duration of my flame turret so that while, my flame turret is recharged and I can relocate whenever I need to because I've increased the duration so long while it was active. And then Wildfire so that I can possibly light everything in the vicinity on fire. There's a 30% chance to do that, which means more damage to more things and more crowd control. And then I have Strike Back again so that I can, get my cooldowns back faster, so I can proc Booster Shot more often, and so that I can put down my Flame Turret 100% of the time. So right here, I'm going to advance up, and I'm going to show you how it functions against NPCs while I clear this supply drop. I'll throw up my turret, and then I'll start to light into something. Now, after I've killed these two targets, I will demonstrate exactly what's happening with my talent. So, here we go. Let's kill him. So now that he's down, I'm going to take cover, and I'm going to show you that for 20 seconds, I have increased skill power up over 135,000, which means my heal is extremely potent. It means that my cooldowns are extremely low, and in the end, it's a really solid way to go. Now, when I pop Booster Shot, as you can see, it heals for quite a bit. Then I get the bonus mitigation. Then I can move up here. I can start killing targets. If I have to, I can, pop medkits and things like that. I can put down my turret right in the middle. And then if I do actually end up going down or close to down, let's let it happen here. You'll see that my signature auto procs eventually when they do, or when they would have dropped me. So as they drop me, there it goes. It auto procs. I can start to pop heals. I stay alive because of that. Really valuable tool for solo players. You can see the range on the flame turret, and once it does light them on fire, I get massively increased damage. Overall, it's a really fun build. It has a lot of utility, and another thing to note is that this build feeds off of your squad composition. So if all of you are running this, as I call it, Charmander build, and a lot of people have affectionately started to name it that, if everyone in your squad is running the Charmander build, that means a lot more turrets, a lot more things getting lit on fire, a lot more bonus damage all the time to more things, and it's a really, really good composition. It is quite annoying for people facing it because you're constantly lit on fire. However, it is something that I believe is going to pop up in the Dark Zone. You're not going to be encountering this 100% of the time. You're going to be encountering a lot of different diverse builds. However, this will pop up, and it's important to note that all of the flame damage, the CC from it, and everything like that can be completely mitigated by an immunizer. So it's important to know that there are hard counters to pretty much every build in the game now, and it's just a matter of reconfiguring your squad to counter them. So if you encounter 4 Charmander builds, which will happen at certain points, I guarantee it, all you have to do is throw on an immunizer, put it in a key location, maybe have some increased support station range, in your performance mods, and you can start to counter that, those status effects where you get lit on fire, thus countering their bonus damage and making them effectively useless. So that's going to wrap it up for this build. That's a 4-piece Firecrest, 2-piece high ends with the specialized talent, getting good skill power, good toughness, good damage, has really good CC. It's great for PvE, it functions in PvP, and hopefully some people will start using it. I think it's a really solid build, and you'll see me using it on stream later tonight. That's going to wrap it up for that, though. If you want to support the channel, please check out the links below. And as always, guys, have a nice night.